Henderson versus Fernandinho. And with no City fan here, I'm going to be on the side where I will give my opinion on who is the better one and will grill you on who you think is the better or worse one. So starting with you, Uday, who is the one you'll prefer among this and why?
Look, we are comparing two footballers who had successes during the same era and during a separate era as well. We've seen that their age difference is also massively, the number is massive. So I think if we compare how Jordan Henderson has been a modern day leader, we look up to leaders like Jordan Henderson because he's been the one who's been captaining the team. The team has been performing well under him. And no player has had any backroom drama. There's no drama which has happened in Liverpool since the time he has taken the leadership from Steven Gerrard. Again, when we talk about Fernandinho, amazing masterclass. He's the next. You can call him godly when it comes to the defensive mid position. Again, he's a positional player. You can call him a runner. You want to call him whatever you want to. He's a box to box. He's given his box to box efforts during his peak. And obviously he's 36, 37 now, and he's still doing an amazing job of playing as a centre half at times, playing as a defensive mid, not starting very regularly for City. But overall, if you look at this, I would still give it to Jordan Henderson. You want to call this the Liverpool bias, you want to call it whatever you want to call it, but it's a fact that under Henderson's leadership, they've won more accolades. The Liverpool team under Klopp has progressed massively. Under Henderson, most of the players have gone to the PFA team of the season as well. Under Henderson, we have seen Mohamed Salah has won the Golden Boots. Trent has won the PFA Players' Choice of the Year. He himself has won the Writers' Award in the UK. He's won the PFA Leader of the Year award as well. So I think modern era leader, everyone looks up to Henderson. He has evolutionized his game in terms of from being a holding midfielder with with Steven Gerrard to becoming an attacking holding midfielder where he can actually go ahead, switch his role with the fullbacks. He rotates a lot nowadays. He's been doing this since the past 3-4 seasons. He's been connecting plays. He's been providing key passes inside the box, which Fernandinho is not known for. Fernandinho is known for taking out lines of press. He's known for being a good defensive, addition to the team. He's known for those long and short passes that we have seen, those incisive passes that come from the build-up. So he's known to initiate a build-up. But Jordan Henderson has been in the fulcrum of creating and also scoring many goals in the past couple of seasons. And I think his credibility is viable enough for the performances that he has given. In fact, it is a testament to the leadership that even United supporters talk about nowadays. Knowing that a player like Harry Maguire is their leader there's no comparison when you talk about such players to Jordan Henderson's and Fernandinho's. Again, it's very tough to compare both of them, man. I think Fernandinho has not been given the leadership role at all in the club. He's a leader on the pitch, but he's not your leader in the room, in the back room, amongst the board members. He's not representing the club in a way. It's always been other club players like David Silva. It's been Aguero when he was there. It was Kompany when he was there. And Bernardo Silva also has a say in this. So it's more of a cohesive team leadership that comes into play when it comes to City rather than an individual leader who's been there. I think on skills and ability, Fernandinho overall, but if you take leadership, exactly. I actually agree with Almighty Blues here because I haven't stepped onto the skills part yet. I'm just talking about the leadership part. But what are your thoughts on the leadership part?
I think overall, as I said, I'm going to be against you for some points, but overall in the end, I'll give my opinion. So I think first of all, a bit against you. I think the thing with Fernandinho is I remember when Manchester City used to have no Rodri and it was the start of the Pep era, because I think if you see the stats here, I put the Jordan Henderson 2019-20 stats, which for me was his best season under Jurgen Klopp. So if you see his defensive stats, his 2.1 tackles per game, 1 interception, 0.6 clearances per game, 0.9 key passes per game, and 61.9 average passes. But the main thing I always see from a midfielder like Henderson, Fernandinho are the long balls per game. So Henderson used to have 4.2 long balls per game. His
Yep.
overall dribbles and shots are, I think, you cannot compare Henderson Fernandinho with goals and assists for me. It's more about the eye test of these two players. So I think with Henderson, when you see him properly, along with the leadership, Henderson has been a really calm presence for Liverpool. Especially, I think since Fabinho came, Henderson and Wijnaldum used to be a very, very good player for Liverpool for 2 years until Wijnaldum left. And whenever
Yep.
Henderson was out, Liverpool used to struggle. Yes, nowadays Henderson is not the Henderson we know, but for the 3 years under Jurgen Klopp, 4 years, Henderson has been absolutely pivotal. Without him, they weren't surviving. Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum are three powerhouses of the Liverpool midfield. We used to give freedom to Salah, Mane, Firmino. Also used to give freedom to Trent and Robertson to absolutely bomb down the wings because you knew you had the protection of Henderson, Fabinho, Wijnaldum, who used to, like for Klopp's system, you need a lot of gegenpress, a lot of ability off the ball, a lot of effort off the ball, along with technical skills as well, finding a pass, getting out of the press. And I think Henderson is very underrated in this regard. But in the same way, I do think that Fernandinho is also a player whose leadership is very underrated. Because if you see his stats in the season when City was Centurions, I think his and Hernandez stats, Henderson stats are not that different, if being very, very honest. Long balls, Fernandinho has 3.1 long balls per game, and in the clearances, tackles, it's not a big difference. But moving away from the stats, for me, if I see the eye test, Fernandinho was an absolute heartbeat of the City team. When he did not used to play, they had no DM. And you still see people criticizing Pep Guardiola for the great masterclass he put up in the final with no DM. I think Fernandinho was an absolute key for them to get out of the back because Fernandinho was not a DM like you can say strong DM, quick DM, tackling DM like English people like, strong, Declan Rice type. He was technical. He can literally get out of the press. Very technical. And same with Henderson. Henderson is also a very technical player. And I think this is more hard question than the others are going to come because two are so underrated. They're not talked about. When you talk about Liverpool team, you talk about Mohamed Salah, you talk about Jota, you talk about Firmino, you talk about Van Dijk, Matip, Alisson. Nobody gives a mention of Henderson. City team is Kevin De Bruyne, Foden. Wow, man, these are beautiful creative players. Even Grealish is given mention. David Silva. You will
Yep.
see mentions to Ruben Diaz, but no mention to the middle part. I think City will not have won the titles under if they had no Fernandinho under Pep, because Pep needs a DM that can be technically good and also has the ability to make interceptions, to run behind, and really Fernandinho used to have everything in his game. And same with Henderson. But if I have to choose one, I will agree with you. I will go with Henderson because his game is a bit more all round. He can play box to box. He can also play a bit aside DM. And Henderson has a bit more flexibility, a bit more energy him about him that I do like a bit more. And his leadership, you can say yes, he edges Fernandinho in that regard. But just making a comparison, it's like this and this. Is lot. I won't be surprised some people say Fernandinho. If we have a poll, it can be 51-49, 52-48. But I will go with Henderson in that regard. So,
Great.
any final thoughts for you in this regard on this topic?
There are many thoughts actually. So, as I said, when it comes to you've been backing Fernandinho up in terms of the statistics that he's laid out for City. Look, you need to understand this. When it comes to statistics, when it comes to technicality, you need to understand Fernandinho has been better than Henderson in the holder's role. But you need to understand if this is the center of the pitch, only the center of the pitch has been the baby for Fernandinho, right? In terms of the engine, being the team's engine and being the team's creator, I think Henderson has had a better, well-rounded role in those terms because he's covered more ground more easily. He's quicker than Fernandinho. He's always been quicker than Fernandinho. And during his heydays as well, I know Fernandinho was quick for 4-5 years, but in those days his technical ability was still good, right? It wasn't excellent. With age, when he turned 27, 28 is the time when Fernandinho started being known for being a good holder of the game, right? For Jordan Henderson, the process has been longer, and he's been under the shadow of Steven Gerrard as well for major phases of his life. But you need to understand that his growth as a well-rounded player has been better than Fernandinho. When it comes to that, those few 20 yards, I agree Fernandinho is better than Jordan Henderson, no doubt about that. He's a Brazilian, a samba player. He's technically well adept to the game. Again, in that holder's role, I would any day still at this age, 37, I would still choose Fernandinho or Henderson in only that holder's role. That's all. But you need to understand, Henderson gives you a more functional aspect of the game. He is a multi-dimensional player. You see more openings, you see more pivotal routes through Henderson. He's so it's just pretty easy for me to come down to the fact that leadership, well-roundedness, team leadership, ethics, morals, no controversies on the pitch. Not controversial at all. Fernandinho has still been involved with so many Chelsea backlashes, with Fabregas, with so many other players from Chelsea on the pitch. You've never seen any sort of mishap or whatever stuff happening on the pitch from Henderson. I think it's just he's a very well-rounded and a very well ethically placed and a moral person. So yeah, I think I would give Henderson 9 out of 10 looking at the modern era game, and I would give Fernandinho 8.5 out of 10 because he's a legend of the game. So we shouldn't disregard his technical ability, but I do think Henderson gets 0.5 above him. Call this the Liverpool bias, call this the Scousey bias, whatever you
No,
want.
I think you have been absolutely spot on. For me as well, you'll give Henderson like I think marks giving is very difficult. But as I always said, you will put Henderson here and Fernandinho here. It's very difficult to say. I won't be surprised. Many people go with Fernandinho. Is that tight? These are two very underrated footballers that nobody wants to discuss about. Is Ronaldo, Messi? It's this, it's that, it's Salah, Hazard. But there's no debate about these underrated players that go behind. These players don't have a goal and assist of 20 goals, 20 assists, the big dribbling ability, the running behind, but these players are so important and engine to the team that the
For
team
sure.
won't function without them. City will never have won the title Centurions without Fernandinho, and Liverpool would never have been this successful without Wijnaldum, Fabinho, and Henderson. So great
For
credit
sure.
to these two players, superb, but has Uday put it absolutely well. I will also go with Henderson. He has just too much in his game, and I'm sorry to say Fernandinho just is not fully like final product like Henderson has. Henderson just a bit more to his game, like one or two attributes more, which outpower him towards Fernandinho. So that was from me and Uday in regards to this answer.